Sorry, Sal's just a pickle and he doesn't say anything and it's hilarious. Okay, welcome to Strengthened Gaming. I'm Samson Lancaster, and today I am joined with Salvador, the punk pickle Madrigal.
Oi. That's it.
That's it.
You get
That's
one
it.
oi.
And Kat McGuire is again with us today. We are
Oi.
oi. We're all gonna say oi. And today we have a very special guest. She's been moderating for Kat's Twitch for some time now. They've become great friends, and she's become friends of the show. She's even asked, you may have heard in a couple of the previous episodes, she's asked quiz questions and stumped most of us. We have today Sublyminality is joining us. And how are you doing today?
Doing great, thanks.
You will probably hear us refer to her as Subly throughout the show because that's the nickname. So,
And I will also refer to her as twin because
yes,
we are twins.
We're
yes.
soul twins.
I think you might have to explain that at some point, or maybe you can explain it now. I don't know.
Sure.
You're like,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, so we were in, I think I was in a raid to your channel. I think it was from Middle Gray.
I think so.
We started just talking and getting to know each other because you were a new streamer to me. And every time you would say, oh, I like this, it's like, oh my God, me too. Or even just like, you know, owl is my spirit animal. You were like, oh my God, me too. It was insane. Literally everything was like exactly the same, except for how we look, obviously. We are a little bit yin and yang there.
Yeah.
But we were incredibly identical to each other in every other way. And so that's kind of where we got like, you know, the twin thing going on, was, you know, we were completely alike in everything that we liked and enjoyed and spoke about. And so it kind of just caught on there. And so I consider her to be kind of like my soul twin almost, you know, that I met on Twitch, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. And like we just started
Twitch
talking
twin.
every day. Like we didn't even like mean to do that. I think it just
It was
happened.
just natural.
Yeah.
It feels natural to just message her every single day.
Yeah. I think there was
chat about nothing or anything.
one day where you like asked me if Kat was okay. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I think so. I think she's fine.
Answer.
Yeah,
There was
sometimes
one day.
like so my phone is really weird with Discord messages because at first like
Not just Discord messages.
yeah, like that well that happened when I had my messages turned off on my phone, like my notifications. So I was like,
just
oh
messing with you.
yeah. Well, I was like, oh, I should probably turn that on, you know, in case people try to get a hold of me and I could see it. But lately my phone has been showing me, like Dave, for example, I always get notified when Dave goes live, but it notifies me like hours later. It's really weird. So sometimes that happens with personal Discord messages too, where my phone doesn't notify me till hours later. And I try not to be at the computer for too long so I can like get up and move and get other things done. So, and sometimes I see a message when I can't reply and then I forget to reply. But in Subly's case, it was just, I didn't have the notifications on and I was not at the computer like all day.
Yeah, it was like, I had messaged her in the morning and then like, it was like 6 hours later and I was like, is she okay?
Yeah.
I think I had one message from you maybe a few hours earlier. So I was like, yeah, I think she's fine. I'll ask her. I mean, I don't think she responded any quicker to me, but I think what happened was maybe she eventually just opened up her phone and fixed all the things. But
yeah. People get mad at me because I'm like, I'm not attached to my phone. And even like Andrew tries to call me sometimes, and sometimes I put my phone on vibrate. And I leave it in another room because I just don't pay attention to my phone. And he's like, I tried to call, like even today, he was like, I tried to call you 15 minutes ago to see if you wanted food. I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
We are all, I mean, I'm all
dying in a ditch trying to get a hold of you, tell you goodbye.
Yeah.
I was taking this shit and I left it in the other room.
I know, I need to get better about that.
I don't know about that. I think it's a good thing that you're
going to the bathroom.
Yes. You need to get better at going to the bathroom. Yes, Sal, absolutely. But anyways, today we have we're gonna have some news, of course, and we have a very interesting, I think maybe a little intense topic today.
Very special strength cast.
Something yeah.
Saturday morning, very special strength cast.
Subly brought with her a topic of unconscious or implicit bias in video games. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But first, we're going to go through some news. So, Sal, why don't you get us started on some of them Huey Lewis in the news?
News. Hey, let's piss off Prem some more.
Let's piss off Prem some more.
I have Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk has lost like 78% of their player base.
Ooh.
In like a matter of weeks. Like the game's been out for what, like maybe a couple of weeks, and nobody's playing it anymore.
Yeah.
That's probably because the hype
No Man's
died
Sky.
down, and people who haven't played heard about the bugs, so they're not in a
they're
hurry
not
to
going
get it.
to.
Well, it's not that the game is long at all, really. And once you beat it once, it's the other endings aren't.
Oh, there's no replay value?
Well, kind of. Like if you want to be a completionist and get the other endings, but not a lot of people
No.
Are
Completionist doesn't count. I'm talking about actual replay value.
Not really.
Because completionists will play anything until they get it.
If we had Andrew in here, it was like the decisions don't actually really matter.
Oh yeah, that's a long Last of Us thing we won't get into. But
oh dear,
but, yeah, it's a little disappointing because I really want to play the game. I'm gonna wait till they fix the AI.
Yeah, I still want to play too.
Yeah,
the AI is dumb as fuck. It's
like yeah, it's dumb as fuck.
Colonial Marines level dumb. And hopefully they fix it by June. Maybe. Maryland.
Subly, did you want to play Cyberpunk?
Yeah, I bought it for PS5, and it's just sitting on the shelf.
Yeah,
give it a little bit of time till they fix all like the AI issues, because the AI just stands there and takes shots to the face. You don't even have to hide or try to avoid them. You can just shoot them in the face and then still stand there and take it.
You're like,
but once they fix the AI, the game's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's what I'm waiting for, is for them to fix it, and then maybe I'll pick it up on a sale or something, because they're gonna have a sale pretty soon. If
they want to actually make money at this point, they're gonna have to sell. Yeah.
What a shit show.
Indeed, what a shit show.
So and then also PlayStation is getting ready to drop a lot of consoles into the market.
Like flood the market.
Yeah, they're gonna flood the market with I think somewhere around 2 million new units or something. They're gonna try to push for 3 or something. Yeah, they have the chips and everything. It's just having people to assemble them right, and wherever they're, I think it's China where they're assembling them. But once they get, because of COVID, everything's been slowed down. That's why scalpers have been capitalizing in really like hoarding all these consoles and selling them for like way.
Which, if you think about it, is really shitty. Like beyond the normal scalper mentality of being shitty. Like it's like taking advantage of the pandemic.
Yeah, I could understand if it was like a limited edition console, like the new black one that's coming out. They only have like 300.
Yeah, it's different, but that's like the equivalent of pay to play versus pay to buy skins,
or you get a rare baseball card or something like that, right? Rare shoes.
Yeah.
But for something that's available to everybody to be able to hoard it and then take advantage of people basically just being bored at home.
Yeah.
So they're once the market floods, the scalpers are done.
Yeah, they'll be fucked.
They're gonna have to either sell at cost or take a loss.
Yeah.
And even if they sell it at cost, a lot of them, the shipping costs and everything, so they'll
lose money.
They're gonna have to eat it, and that's great. I hope they lose their homes.
That's good. I hope they lose their homes.
Hope they end up in the street,
like out of nowhere.
sucking dick for money. Fuck scalpers.
Yeah, I mean, the sentiment. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's there. I understand. I understand. But what else do we have in the news, Sal?
Then we got PogChamp, which will be the
PogChamp.
last of the
PogChamp.
news.
So
Rip.
I was so dumb. When I saw it, I was like, "What?"
yeah. So what
PogChamp
happened?
emote no more?
What happened was Twitch removed PogChamp's emote from from Twitch because of, according to this. Let's see, what did Twitch say? They said, well, the article says that we can't in good conscience continue to enable the use of this image, and Twitch said we want the sentiment and use of Pog to live on, and so I think like what Sal, I think it was, I don't know if I was talking to Sal or if I was talking to Devin, they're probably going to keep and there'll still be a PogChamp emote, but it won't be Gutex anymore.
Right.
So
they're working with the community to design a new emote for the most hype moments on Twitch, is what their tweet says.
Yeah. So they're not banning PogChamp, they're banning Gutierrez's image because of a tweet that he posted earlier on during this insanity that's been going on in the US. If I'm sure our fans in India are watching with their popcorn at this point. So but yeah, basically, according to the article in the tweet, Gutierrez called for civil unrest on behalf of one of the rioters, a woman who was shot and killed by law enforcement inside the Capitol. So I read that and I immediately was like, well, that makes sense. They should, totally do that if he's saying that or whatever. But I also went and because the article didn't actually have his tweet. Most articles will have the tweet right there,
screenshot with the link to it.
Yeah, or a link to it or something, and it wasn't there. So I actually went to his Twitter account and I found the tweet in question. And I'm just going to read it from Gutex here on January 6th. Will there be civil unrest for the woman who was executed inside the Capitol today, or will the hashtag MAGA martyr die in vain? ? And then he said that the video will be aired soon because he was going to show the video of it or whatever, but of the incident happening. But after reading that, I was like, that doesn't sound like he called for civil unrest. He asked and maybe implied.
Yeah, if you squint your eyes and kind of bend yourself to a pretzel, and maybe that's an implied, civil unrest thing. But I don't know. It just it seems like he was being libertarian, which shouldn't get you banned.
No, I mean, it's one thing. Like if he literally said, like if he just said, like everybody else. Oh God. I have a story about Kevin Sorbo, like Kevin Sorbo did on Twitter, where he was just saying, do the thing. And then he was like, but don't be violent. And then after that, he was like, Antifa led the crowd and they were dressed as Trump supporters.
Yeah, that was dumb.
But
he's like, it's happening. And I immediately thought about Cartman in South Park, race war.
Oh my God.
Oh, terrible.
Slowly, it was like an hour progression, right? Since the first tweet to the next one to the very last one, and he slowly starts walking it back every tweet after that.
Yeah.
And then he just blames Antifa.
Yeah. But I don't know. What do you guys think about the PogChamp?
I mean, I see Twitch's angle, considering how everybody's hypersensitive right now about everything that's going on. They don't want to
even touch the subject like that.
They don't want to seem like they're not going to address it at all, considering they've banned the president from Twitch and Twitter now, and then Facebook. So they got to make sure they stem any kind of things that seem like it's like what is it? It's sedition, right? That's what they're talking about. It's sedition. So,
but
have to nip that in the bud. Even if something mildly sounds like it's could be implied, if you have like one of your eyes is bad and crusty and you're trying
I guess, but like it doesn't even actually affect Twitch at all. Like it's not something
No,
that's on Twitch.
it doesn't. I don't understand
It's
why
not.
there's a link between your social media
And how
another
how many people who even know who the fucking emotes are? Like I had to do research.
I had no
Yeah,
clue.
I didn't know.
I think Kappa is one of the most fucking weird ones. If you look up how the Kappa face appeared, like I know hardcore Twitch people and people that obviously people that follow him knew whose face it was, but like I had no fucking idea. And everybody just said right now we had no idea who even cares. I don't know. I think it's a little silly. And they're definitely playing to a bias. And I mean it is the media, so
it feels a little, I don't know, like scummy to be like you can't really talk about something on another platform and it affects the other platform. It's like it's not like
yeah, like on Twitch. I mean, he's not even. They didn't even do anything on Twitch or not Twitch on Twitter. They didn't even like ban him or mute him or anything on Twitter for it.
Yeah, so
I think they're just trying to be proactive, and
Yeah, I guess so.
they're trying to fix a situation that didn't even become a situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't think I would read that and necessarily think that he was inciting violence, but I also don't think it was a very smart thing to tweet either.
No, probably not. It's a bit in poor taste when it comes to everything else that's going on. But I'm trying not to get into my personal feelings because I want to talk about this as objectively as possible because my personal feelings are much different than what I'm saying now.
Right. Yeah.
Not much different, but they lean a little bit further than me trying to be neutral about this. But yeah, I get it. I understand why Twitch did it. I just think it's kind of silly is all.
I think his next tweet is probably not like, I think that's worse.
Yeah, where he actually shows the video.
He shows the video and he claims that woman died for our country when she's the person who like stormed the Capitol building.
So again, it's very right leaning for sure. Like it's a very right leaning tweet, but it also didn't say, let's start doing more damage or let's, like it didn't call for civil unrest.
If anything, it should have had that little disclaimer thing at the bottom of the tweet. And
yeah,
that's it. It should have just.
Well, it does have the following media includes potentially sensitive content, but it doesn't like it's not like how they've been putting factual disclaimers on all of Trump's tweets before all this shit happened.
If anything, that's like, the farthest it should have gone. But yeah, I think they were trying to cut off an overreaction. Mm-hmm. That way they won't have to deal with the extra fallout from it. So,
but I mean, they're probably going to get fallout from the right because of it. They're going to be pissed and quote free speech and shit like that. Just somebody will care. Like I haven't looked it up, but I bet you people like the quartering will probably care.
Oh yeah, he'll for sure care.
Somebody drops a nickel and that guy has an opinion.
Yeah. Something like this for me, it's like I don't care.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
take it away.
I don't care really either.
Fine.
But
he didn't get banned.
It's kind of big news
from Twitch though, right? They just removed his emote.
It was just the emote,
yeah.
I mean, as far as I know,
I didn't even understand why they got rid of the emote if they didn't ban him from Twitch.
I think because they don't want to appear that they align themselves.
I think it's the
him.
association of. I think it's the association of the icon or the emote itself and what it represents.
Yeah, and it's in their power to do that.
They don't want it. Yeah, they don't want it tied. They don't want it tied to that potentially. I guess, even though it's like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's like out here someplace. It's not.
So is that like a universal emote? Like I don't think I've ever used
it.
That.
PogChamp is,
So
and it's actually
can use it.
It's one of the most popular ones. If not the most popular one, because of that, and it's also used for it's like the first one I think you can use to cheer with, when you're doing bits. So yeah, I mean,
To me, it seems like a overreaction. Pro clutch. It's a
the
proto
clutch.
pearl clutch.
A proto pearl clutch.
Yeah.
I appreciate the alliteration, Sal. But anyways, that's all we have for news, correct?
Yeah, it's other than the world burning right now.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Up in the
We-
news.
Everything's fine.
the fire in the background meme
Yeah,
is like
that-
the most relevant meme right now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be talking about unconscious bias in video games and potentially the video game industry. I think there's a lot there too. So we'll be back after this break. It all started when I had that first shot of vodka. Before I knew it, I woke up soaked in gasoline, lying in a gutter somewhere. I decided to take out my cell and call Andy. The phone rang several times. Someone finally picked up.
Hello?
It was Kim's voice. But first we have to eat. So Sam, have you violated any German law you can officially say? We don't have the bad words. We don't have the bad words. So Sam, you violated German law you violated German first But today we have a very interesting and intriguing topic about unconscious bias that Subly is bringing to us. But first, since I'm an idiot and I forgot, or actually, I don't think anybody told me.
I think we did.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you guys did. That since we didn't do the Subly's quiz corner or Sublyminality's quiz corner in the first half, we're going to do it right now, so we can look like idiots. And now Kat gets to be quizzed. This will be the first time ever that Kat gets quizzed, because Kat was the quiz master, and so when Subly was submitting questions, she was the quiz master. So
Subly, do you want to tell him, or should I?
This better not be a Pokemon question.
It's not. It's not
Okay.
a Pokemon question. And she has seen the question, but she doesn't remember what it is. So she
You're
could probably
cheating.
still try to like take a stab at it and still not have a clue. So we can.
Yeah, we could
God damn
we'll
it,
go with
Kat.
that one. We'll go with that.
Well, okay, so
Who knows? Maybe I did completely forget the answer, but
the way we've been doing it is we have you open up your chat, and each of us will DM you, Subly, our answer.
Sure.
That way we don't blurt it out and be stupid.
I'm ready. I got it primed and ready to go.
So Kat has the advantage, but anyway, it's fine.
All right. So this time I'm going to be talking about ray tracing. Since that has been a hot topic with PS5 coming out, and everybody's talking about the ray tracing in the games on there. So the question today is, which of the following games is the oldest by original release date to have ray tracing support? Is it A, Battlefield 5, B, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, C, Quake 2, or D, Call of Duty Modern Warfare?
Sorry, could you repeat the answers again?
Yes, I can. A, Battlefield 5, B, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, C, Quake 2, or D, Call of Duty Modern Warfare?
Ugh. All right. I'm gonna send you my. I'm sure it's wrong,
Okay.
but I don't care.
So I like that all three of you chose something different. The answer is actually C, Quake 2.
That was my second.
It was originally released on December 9th, 1997, and ray tracing support was added in a remaster on June 6th, 2019. Battlefield 5, which was released on November 20th, 2018, it was the first game to have inherent ray tracing support. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which was released on September 14th, 2018, was the first game to have ray tracing support patch, which came in March 20th, 2019. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the one that was released on August 23rd, 2019, was the first Call of Duty game to have ray tracing support.
Shout out to Earl Balon from Shadow of the Tomb Raider, who played Jonah.
Even though
we
he
love
wasn't
you.
the answer. But let's face it, Earl is always the answer.
Yeah, and then
the older games look amazing with ray tracing in them. Have you guys seen Minecraft with ray tracing? It looks amazing, dude.
That just sounds silly.
It's
look at that big old smile.
It sounds silly because it's fucking Minecraft.
Oh, watch! Look up a video right now.
No,
it's crazy, dude. It's amazing because you like. It's
No.
like looks realistic and stuff, and it has like.
It's like realistic pixels, man.
It's like real, man.
It's like real squares.
Those pixels are so sharp.
Those squares are so lifelike.
If they could make that into VR, that'd be amazing.
They do have Minecraft VR, I think,
but not the ray traced version.
Oh,
like the old one, yeah. I can run around and do stuff.
And Subly was worried that the Quake 2 would be in contention, right? Because of when it happened.
Yeah, since it came in a remaster instead of the original game. But it is still called Quake 2.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Whoa.
It's still Quake 2. It just got a remaster when I think it was an NVIDIA graphics card.
Came with the remaster.
Yes, it came with a remaster.
And when did the remaster come out?
In 2019.
After Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Okay.
Right, but the question says original release date.
Oh, original release date.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Of the remaster is 2019. All right. What did Sal? Kat said the right answer. What did Sal say?
Yes. He guessed Battlefield.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first one to have inherent ray tracing.
But later that's a newer game. So.
Yes, it's from 2018.
Yeah, Quake's of all of those, Quake's the oldest.
The oldest.
Yes.
And that's why we
technically Quake 2 came out first. The remaster came with ray tracing in 2019.
All right. My answer's wrong either way, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's wrong either way, so it doesn't matter.
Because I think
I got it right, but I don't count because I remembered.
Yeah, because I think Shadow of the Tomb Raider is of the other two answers still later than the other two answers. So
yes.
Yeah. So I wasn't even close, so don't worry about it.
It did come out before Battlefield 5, but it had a patch for ray tracing afterwards. But it was the first game to get a ray tracing support patch.
Well, kudos. You stumped all of us. I don't count Kat.
Yeah, I don't count.
Cheater.
I
I
wanted
don't
to count Kat, but she was cheating. She's hacking. Hacksaws.
To be fair, I didn't know that I was going to be coming on the show, so I had sent her the question already.
Yeah, that was beautiful. No, I'm not like. No, I'm not giving you guys shit for that. I didn't know, so I went through a whole fucking spiel about how she's never been quizzed before, and it turns out this one doesn't count.
Sounds like
And thus ensuring
conspiracy is afoot.
Subliminality's reoccurrence on the show. She's hooked us. Now she has to come back.
Oh no. I guess I'll come back.
Oh
So-
no. I have to come back.
Oh, I guess we still have to do your topic though. I mean,
Oh, we do.
this could be a train wreck for all I know. I'm just kidding.
I know you could. I mean, last week you wanted to fire me for my Pokemon questions, so this time it might be the topic that I bring.
No, I wanted to fire Kat. I didn't want to fire you.
Hey.
No, you wanted to fire me for the Pokemon questions.
All right.
One less packet of mustard.
Yeah, no, it's fancy ketchup.
Can't get rid of me. If you haven't gotten rid of me by now, it's not happening.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm just gonna piss off Kat until she rage quits. So, Subly, you brought an interesting topic today about unconscious bias in video games. So, why don't we start off by you giving us maybe a layman's terms definition, or your version of well, you're not a layman, but for the rest of us, the definition of unconscious bias.
Sure. So I'll start out. There are two different types of biases. There is conscious and unconscious biases. So a conscious bias is something that you are completely aware of, you are conscious of. It is something that you can say, I actively hate mint flavor. That is a conscious bias against mint flavors.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah, we know.
Chihuahuas, yes.
They have they have a conscious bias against everything.
They're rat dogs.
An unconscious bias is something that you are not aware of that you do. So a very easy and example that pretty much anybody can relate to. You're walking down the street in the middle of the night and you see a stranger coming up on the other side of the road. You just step over to the other side, not knowing that that person's probably safe, but just instinctively you go over to the other side because your brain assumes that this person is dangerous.
I do like that sample because now everybody should assume everybody's dangerous because of COVID, and you should walk to the other side.
In
But it's
COVID's case,
something that you
bias is a good
do.
thing.
No, yeah, no,
Yes.
it is. It is.
Nowadays, you are paying attention to that because we are trying to social distance
Well,
and everything.
not everybody is.
You should try to social distance.
It's true.
But that would be something that even, you could just be on your phone and not really fully paying attention to your surroundings, but you still glance this other person and still will go over to the other side of the street so that you do not have to completely cross paths with this person.
Mhm.
And you might not be aware that what you are doing is making a bias of this person, that they are dangerous. You are just going over to the other side of the street and going on your way. So unconscious biases also are responsible for the split-second decisions that we make. So when you see 2 books on a shelf, you're going to pick the one that's prettier. That's just going to be typically what you do. And you're not going to really think why. It could be the exact same book, but just with a different cover. And you're going to pick the one that just appeals to you the most instantly. No rhyme or reason why. It's also going to be an assumption that you make. So one that's popular about me, I'm actually a nuclear engineer. When I tell people that and they look at me, they're like, oh, wow, you're an engineer. They would never assume that of me. That is a unconscious bias against me that another person is making, assuming that I am not able to be in the STEM field or a nuclear engineer.
I don't know. You look pretty nerdy to me.
I know, right? Guys.
Yeah.
So unconscious biases are typically just stereotypes that your brain makes, that you are not aware that maybe that they are bad, that they are stereotypes. It's just your brain piecing together information that it has gathered across your lifetime that, typical masculine and feminine roles. Those are unconscious biases, unless you completely express that you believe and acknowledge that you believe like a woman should be making sandwiches. That is then an explicit or
Cat,
conscious
let me get
bias.
the sandwich.
Shut up.
It's like, fuck you.
I don't know
And
about
typically
cats cooking,
unconscious biases too, you don't think that there's anything wrong with
Mm-hmm.
how you feel.
Yeah.
You can even express that, hey, I don't think women should only be making sandwiches. But then in the back of your mind, when you think of women, you're just going to be like, oh, they make sandwiches. You can still have an unconscious bias when you explicitly say the opposite.
And I make the sandwiches in my relationship, and I make damn good sandwiches. So, just saying. But that does, because I've experienced that actually a lot. I mean, outside of gaming, I experience it a lot because with my wife Heather, we typically, our roles are very muddied. Like she owns the truck, she does the woodworking, she owns all the power tools. She builds things. You know what I mean? I drive a sedan. I play video games. I work on computers. I program things. But she's an amazing fucking cook. So it's like people are very confused if I come up to them and I say, "Oh yeah, my wife made this fucking cake. It's amazing. It tastes. Oh my god, that's amazing." And then they assume that that's my truck, or that those are my power tools. I'm like, no, those are my wife's
Yep.
power tools. It happens to me a lot.
Yes, and those are, when they think that, they don't think that they are doing anything wrong in those thoughts. They don't think those thoughts they don't come across to them as being sexist at all.
Yeah. And I mean, to me personally, I don't feel there's anything wrong with it, which is probably my unconscious bias, because I assume that everybody assumes that I'm the man and I drive the truck and my wife cooks in the kitchen, because I just said my wife cooks in the kitchen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
She just happens to be good at everything, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, she's not that good at gaming, but don't tell her I said that.
Shh.
She'll beat me. I'm just kidding. That's not true. Domestic violence isn't funny, except in this case. Then it is. But no, I am better at video games, but it's because I literally been playing them since I was this big. Since I was a fetus, I played video games. But she's learning and she's getting good. So.
And it's interesting because we all did some research before we did this show, and we all listened to the same TED Talk, which was about like 45 minutes long, and it was a really interesting TED Talk to listen to. It kind of gave me a better perspective on
Kat was like, "Holy
implicit
shit,
bias.
I'm racist."
Well, you know what though? Like, we all have bias. It's not
Yeah, we do.
something that we can always control as much as we want to, like, because I remember when I was talking to Samson about the topic today, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna have a hard time distinguishing the difference between explicit and implicit bias, because I consider myself the kind of person that thinks about these things, whenever I
same.
meet somebody.
Absolutely,
I
same.
do, like, one of the first things I do is I tell myself, don't make snap judgments about this person. You don't know what this person is like yet, because
and
my brain wants to.
Yeah,
And
and that's
I actively tell it, no, don't do that.
yeah, that's part of it, because it is instinctive, right? You, at some point growing up, during your formative years especially, you've learned these things whether it be from your parents or from the TV or whatever. You've learned these things over time, and it just, even though, like, I think it reminds me of like the degrees of racism, where people don't realize, and it's basically an unconscious bias. Like, I don't consider myself to be racist. I'm not a racist. I don't hate anybody, and especially not for the color of their skin or for where they're from. But there's still those times, like Kat said, like where you would, like, you've been exposed to a stereotype, and in your head you have to stop and say no, observe the actual situation. You know what I mean? Like take a step back and think about it. And in particular, I think one of as part of the research, is one of the things that was interesting, and maybe for me hard at first, to figure out how it comes into gaming. And so I think, I mean, how do you feel, Subly, about how it relates to gaming?
Well, really, it relates to everything in our life, right? One of the things that how you develop these biases is coming even just from childhood. It's as simple as what is like me is good, and what is different from me is bad. So when you look at all these games that are created and out there, typically, what is the main character like? It's typically someone like I hate to say it, but it's typically someone that is a white male, right? That is the main demographic that seems to play video games by statistics. So they are marketing, maybe consciously, maybe unconsciously, when they are developing these characters, to play off of, I am going to pick this game because the character is like me, and what is like me is good. So therefore, I can relate to this character, and this game will be fun. There's also biases in even something as simple as Mario, and how it's always Mario saving Peach, right? The princess, the female, is always in distress and needs to be saved.
Yeah, there's a lot of women in distress video games, like, the damsel in distress trope.
You can blame Disney.
Especially early
that
games.
word, but yeah, especially early games, because misogyny is barely now starting to be seen as something bad, apparently. Like,
but do you think that when you're playing those games that, hey, maybe this isn't right, maybe this isn't fair, maybe this is actually sexist, when you're playing a Mario game?
No.
Typically not. You don't even think about it. You just think, oh, this is a Mario game, this is going to be fun. You don't think about the actual story that's going on and the roles that the characters are playing.
Yeah, and now, like, I feel like now we kind of give it a pass because, it's it's from a long time ago when.
Oh, but it's Mario. This is
Mario.
Story. Mario always saves Peach.
Yeah, which dynamic kind of changes and stuff like Smash Brothers and other things like that.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's just beating the shit out of each other at that point. It's like then it's okay. It's equal.
And for me, when I was trying to think of bias in gaming, I was trying to think of where I recognize that the most. And for me, it's about like pairing a game with the type of gamer that plays said game. I feel like there are stereotypical gamers.
Cod pieces.
Right. Like, I think people who aren't gamers don't understand this kind of bias. This is like a gamer's only bias.
If you don't play video games, you don't realize that, video games, there's so many different video games and there's so many different people that play different things. But like if you're someone that doesn't play video games, you're just like, oh yeah, he plays a video game, whatever, it's a video game. Video game's a video game.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also an unconscious bias.
There's still the biases where when you see a female streamer and she's actually really good at gaming, and they're like, oh, you're a girl and you're good at gaming.
So tired of hearing that.
Right.
What the hell?
Or how about directed to Sal and Samson, if you're ever playing a online game and all of a sudden you hear a female voice on the other side, do you sometimes feel like, oh, I need to help her?
No,
Or
not me.
maybe
No,
some people do.
I am surprised, genuinely, because it's rare.
I've always played with women online, including like with MMOs like WoW and stuff like that. There's always been female in the guilds and stuff.
I relate more to the skill side of things. So if they suck at the game, I assume it's because they're new. And if they're good at the game, then I assume it's because they played for a while. So I would help somebody that needed the help. I'm very much a solo player. But I've started playing games that are very cooperative. And so for me, an unconscious bias is Dead by Daylight, because it's all I play lately. When I see a certain skin, I'll be like, oh, this person's going to be a toxic piece of shit. Or like this person is going to suck really bad. Like colorful Nias, for example.
Isn't that a learned behavior
Yes,
though? Because you're
Well,
experiencing
but it's not always
unconscious
true.
biases are learned, though.
Yeah.
They are biases that you create from samplings of events that happen in your life.
Yeah.
And your brain stores that away. And just that's the immediate reaction that Samson has when he sees a colorful Nia. It's just instantly toxic. Gonna be toxic.
And we make biases in our brain because it's like a shortcut for our brain, because we're processing so much information at all times that our brain can't handle the full amount of information. We have to make shortcuts in order to essentially progress in our life, or get on to the next task, or move on to meet the next person. Otherwise our brains would explode with all the information that we're getting and processing.
With
gotta
me,
process things fast.
whenever I group or do anything with other people, I assume they're going to be shit till they prove, till they
Solo
actually
queue.
show me that they're a good game.
Solo queue versus
Yes.
a Swift, but it's really funny because that is definitely my gut reaction. It was grouping with people that I don't know, that I'm not talking to, that they're going to be terrible, and because they usually are. But the joke is, when I start Swifting, like with Devin, for example, I play a lot with Devin, and I feel like I depip way more when I'm playing with him than fucking all these randos. But I still immediately assume going into a rando game that these guys, or no. You know what's the biggest one now? Console versus PC in crossplay.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
As soon as I see
I'm
that
guilty of this
console,
too.
and we do it constantly, both me and Devin do it constantly. Oh fuck, it's a bunch of console players. We're fucked. We're gonna die on first
bias.
I don't know if it's conscious. I mean, it is at some point. After a while, it became conscious.
It turns, once you start expressing that
Yeah.
you know in your head, and you start telling other people, oh man, it's console player, we're screwed and stuff like this. That's when it turns into a conscious bias. But before it, you're gathering the information and your brain is starting to assume console equals bad.
Mm-hmm. Which is true, by the way.
Oh, you want to talk about, dude, you want to talk about bias? All you gotta do is look at the comments on my Facebook ad. Like,
oh God.
That's bias right there. That's gamer bias.
Okay, so I didn't. Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
for mentioning that, because we've been running an ad to Kat's Twitch channel, Strength in Gaming has, and it's a it's like a brief like trailer of what she does to get them to go to her Twitch channel.
It's my channel trailer.
Yeah, it's a channel trailer. Yeah,
Okay,
it's that. And we run that as an ad. I'm gonna have to do some editing here because now I have to actually find it. When was the last time somebody commented on it?
This is like the perfect example.
No, it is absolutely the perfect example, and that's why I don't know why I didn't fucking think of it. Like I patted myself on the back for even thinking about the shit that I thought of in fucking Dead by Daylight. I posted too much shit recently, so now I can't find it.
It's fucking crazy, Twin. Like the stuff when you get on the comments there, but at the same time, not surprising.
No,
Like,
that's
I'm
the
never
thing.
surprised. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I've been trolling him too. I've, I've been
Yeah.
trolling the fuck out of these people because
like-
at first I was getting irritated and I deleted a couple of comments, you know, and then finally I was just like, you know what, fuck these guys. Let's show them who we really are, and I'm just gonna troll the fuck out of them because that's who
Because that is who
is.
that is who we are. Yeah.
Oh my god, this is just ridiculous. I cannot find. Oh, it stopped. I can't go any further. Okay, that's interesting.
I've noticed that, like, I know we're cutting this out since you're looking for it.
Well, maybe we are, maybe we aren't.
Maybe. But I've noticed that I'll give you a little rundown, Twin, until we get it up. But
Whoa,
so-
hey, it happens to everybody. Kat.
yeah. We just need a second.
Don't give me that.
So there are quite a few likes on the video. And I've noticed
Over 100, I think.
Yeah, and I've noticed that people who like the video don't comment.
Well, some of them do.
Some of them, maybe,
There's a
but
lot of positive comments on there. I don't know if you read those.
I've read more negative ones, but that's okay because
Yeah.
it doesn't really bother me that much. Because Facebook is just full of people who are
cesspool.
too scared to say these things to somebody's face and use their screen name
Oh, I know.
to belittle and demean people, but I don't care. But I've noticed that, like, when I see somebody like the video, they don't really comment for the most part. And then a lot of the comments, at least in
I
my
found it.
opinion, are negative, but not even like a good negative. Like, there's no constructive criticism.
Yeah,
It's
well, to give you
Literally
those are
just
just-
belittling.
Jackasses, yeah.
Yeah, so to give you an idea, someone who is technically a positive comment said, "I'm thinking half of these people don't like her because she's not naked." I mean, I get it, but like at least she's playing the damn game. Okay, so that gives you a quick overview of what everybody else is saying and why that
Exactly.
person said that.
And that's another thing, though, that where I guess dudes get conditioned from Twitch to, they expect the girls to be with their boobies out or showing
Well,
some skin.
they're the most
and-
popular ones at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they follow them, right? And then when somebody who's actually legit trying to
It-
make something out of Twitch
here's
without showing
Another one in the same
or
vein. This guy
skin.
said,
Yeah.
I mean, at least she's playing the game instead of just being half naked to get people to watch. So, like, again, these are like backhanded compliments, right? It's like right in the middle.
It has nothing to do with me as a streamer and like my capabilities and my personality. It has everything to do with whether I have my clothes on or off.
Yeah. And so to actually find some of it. So on the first comment that I mentioned, someone replied and said, "Nah, she's just some sorry, Kat. This is not what
It's fine.
not my view. I'm just reading this. Nah, she's just some basic ass boring white chick. Could care less about well, he said could careless. Okay. He wrote it one word. First of all, it's couldn't care less. It's a contraction and it's 3 words, 4 if you count the first one. But he says could careless about revealing clothing. At least don't be bland. And so I replied by saying, well said, basic ass boring white dude.
Right? Basic ass boring white dude saying that I'm a basic ass boring white chick. It's like, did you even watch?
Names, but like, this dude is a basic ass boring white dude. I checked. But yeah, some of the more negative comments and very biased comments. This one's interesting. It's actually not as sexist as the other ones, where this person just said, "Streamer is like so many others, a dime a dozen." Which is just a bias that you're playing video games on Twitch and we just assume you're like every other person, which Kat is definitely not. I replied to that one by saying, just like your comment, winky face.
Yeah, exactly. Like none of these comments are original.
Yeah,
none
of them
comments are
yes.
like worth anything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's a lot of smug assholes with just just like memes that say no or something.
It's people expressing
Oh.
their bias.
This is one of my favorite ones. This person said another petite blonde female named herself Cat. Wow.
Dude, I know you're gonna say your comment back, but I would have answered if I didn't care about people knowing my full name on Facebook, because my Facebook profile has my full name. So I refrain from commenting back on these things, but I really wanted to comment back and be like, you called me petite, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the first name because no one knows just the first name, but dude's name is Daniel. And I said another white dude named Daniel. Wow. And then somebody replied with a meme with "Damn Daniel."
Damn Daniel.
That was very relevant, so I had to use the first name.
Oh God. Yeah.
Damn,
So
Daniel.
so I think that's a great example of bias in video gaming, especially against women who play games.
Yes.
It's
No, I didn't see this one. It just said she's hot. LOL.
oh, I saw that one.
The cat's like, I saw that one.
That's just a fact.
I didn't actually see that one.
I'm
But
just
yeah,
kidding.
there's always been that culture
The
of
fuck is
girls
this?
suck
It's
at
not even
gaming.
English.
They're only there for dudes to ogle their boobies or whatever, for them
Yeah,
to
or
show
they
off
just
their bits.
they don't play video games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's
no,
just
there's a
things they
lot
don't.
on Twitch that don't actually play video games.
yeah. Then that's
Which disappoints
it's
me.
Twitch.
To be frank,
It's Twitch as well, kind of.
but I'm biased. I like
kind
to
of
see people play
allowing
video
that
games.
culture to still exist on the platform, even though they're doing all this other stuff to be, social justice, this and that, like
Yeah.
banning that dude's emote, but they
Case in
still
point,
have the live stuff. They don't. It's not even
who-
art or
I
anything.
forgot who
They're
it
just
was
talking.
that literally just like showed her vagina, and I know the technical terms.
I think it's
Oh,
Amaranth.
No, it wasn't Amaranth. That was a mistake. That was she accidentally. There was a slip or whatever. But this person, I forget who they were. Actually,
Like just spread her legs
just,
wide.
yes,
in front of the camera.
spread everything open and just showed it, and she got like a 3 or 4 day ban. That was it. But she's very popular.
Yikes.
So
Yikes.
and you can get away with anything if you're very popular. But here's I don't know if it's unconscious or conscious, but here's a huge bias in my opinion. If a dude did that, he would be banned for life and arrested and labeled a sex offender.
Yeah.
That's what would happen.
Oh yeah.
If it was a penis and not a vagina, that
Oh,
is
yeah.
what would have happened. Because apparently penises are worse. I mean, they are, but I'm that aside.
I think
it-
half the population likes penises, Sam.
I'm part of that. I like penises, Sal. We're LGBT
Speaking of,
on this podcast.
check
We gotta
out
change
Oliver.
the culture on penises, okay?
Oh no, Oliver.
Speaking of,
Yeah, Oliver. Oliver.
Well, that's
Nothing's happening.
well,
He's-
that's a
his
form of, he's
I
trying
legs
to
are too
dominate
short.
her. He's
I know. I
trying-
understand that.
He's trying to establish dominance.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what Monkey does to Shirley because Shirley is very dominant. They're like Monkey's the alpha. Well, I mean, let's face it, I'm the alpha, but Monkey is the alpha of the cats. I'm not the alpha of my relationship. I'm the alpha of the animals. Let's be clear. But yeah, they have that. It's weird. It's weird because Shirley kind of contends for the alpha in the group of 4 cats. So Monkey does end up doing that. And it's really annoying because there's yowling involved and I have to throw stuff at him. Soft stuff.
yeah.
I throw stuffed animals at him.
I think Oliver tries to be the alpha, but really Suki is.
Oh yeah, she's huge.
Yeah. She
Just
doesn't
my
like to
light.
share either.
You're gonna get banned.
Banned. Yeah, Cat, you're gonna get banned
We're not
on
popular.
Twitch for a dog attempting to assert dominance in the background. But that was
For animals
was
doing what
that
they
was
do.
perfect fucking timing though.
I know.
It was
It
could
was
not
perfect.
have been better.
Thank you, Oliver.
But yeah, that's to me that's a huge bias it in gaming is well, I mean, it's not. I don't know if that person actually games, like you to Subly's point, but it's on Twitch, which is a gaming platform. You know, it's branching out, but like made by gamers for gamers, I guess. But yeah, there's so many comments on this ad, and
Yeah.
and
I
I've,
mean,
like I said, I've deleted
also,
some.
you know, when I started Twitch, another bias I noticed is that men on Twitch feel like they don't do as well because of all the women on
Showing
Twitch
their
who
boobs.
happen to be half naked or show cleavage or, you know, whatever they do. Because I mean, there's no denying that there are women on there who do that. Not all of them do, but I think that
Guys aren't allowed to. Just saying.
men feel
I want to
I've
show my
definitely
titties
heard
and get followers, but I can't.
other
wear
male
pasties.
streamers express that
Pasties.
they would be successful if they were a woman and showing cleavage.
Yeah,
which,
and they need to get good because they fucking suck.
right. I know plenty of male streamers who are very successful and they don't do anything of that nature. Like
Right.
let's take Voodoo for example. He has like almost 700 followers. He has on average 20 people watching him at all times.
I thought you were going to mention Spectrix because he's pretty.
Yeah, and I mean Specs is pretty, but Voodoo honestly usually has more average viewers than Spectrix does, because he's just fun.
Well,
he's
that
a
case
fun
in point
streamer.
right there. You got
Yes.
the two sides. You have Spectrix is pretty, and you have Voodoo is entertaining.
Yeah, well,
You're
Voodoo's
entertaining
also
too, Specs. I'm just fucking with you.
Voodoo's also a handsome guy, you know, but he never like
He's the
draws
bearded
attention
gentleman,
to that
right?
fact. He's just what he makes perfectly clear.
That reminded me of
He's a fun dude. He makes sure everyone feels welcome in his stream, and
Yeah.
he just has a good time. He doesn't stop. He's just go.
No, that's
He has good energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the energy. It's about the not necessarily positiveness, but the entertainingness. Like, for example, when I do stream and it is Dead by Daylight, after I murk somebody's face or get dunked on, whatever the case may be, people will come. I'll tell them, you know, I'm on Twitch. They'll come into my Twitch channel thinking I'm going to be salty or pissed at them or something, and I'm like, oh my god, I love you, thank you for following me, it's so cool that you came over here. And then they'll get, and I've had people get awkward, like, oh okay, thanks. And I almost get a follow every time that happens. But yeah, it's
just you never know what's going to happen, and just because you're not a woman with cleavage doesn't mean you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, I think they're playing off too another bias of that the average Twitch viewer is a man.
Yeah.
And so
or is that's the fact, right?
There is another assumption that men love boobs. So they're going to want to watch the streamer that has their boobs hanging out instead of watching some other guy.
Well,
but in reality, there are, I mean, Kat and I are on Twitch.
Yeah,
we even stream.
I mean,
there are women on Twitch that are
do like
viewers.
Boobs, but that's not the reason I'm going to Twitch.
Right.
There are other websites for that.
But the assumption there is going to be that given two streams of, you know, one with, you know, a hot chick with her boobs hanging out, or just some pasty white guy, they're assuming that the person is going to go to the chick, right, and watch her instead, because you're assuming that you have a straight male on the other side of the screen,
which I am not. Well, I just want to say, like, I bet you anybody that meets me on the street has an unconscious bias that this dude is like a man's man, and he's straight as can be, or straight as an arrow or whatever, but that's not the case. Sal's the same way, and he's 6 foot. He's like 2 feet. He's like 2 inches or 3 inches. You're 2 feet. You're like 2 or 3 inches taller than me, the biggest Mexican I've ever seen. And I feel like people would feel the same way about you, and you're almost queerer than I am. But like, there's definitely an unconscious bias, and that goes back to the whole role thing where people get weirded out when I'm not the one that drives the truck. Like, what?
I think with the younger
Or
kids,
assuming
though, that's
that,
gonna
you know,
change.
asking, you know, a woman, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a husband?
Yeah.
When, you know, she could be a lesbian. She could
Yeah,
be asexual.
or that none of that could be any
Oh
of
my
your
God,
fucking
right?
business.
That happened to me. That happened to me. Like when I first started streaming, I had somebody just show
Like,
up
what
while
does
I
it
was playing a
fucking
game,
matter? Like,
and he like said he asked one question about the game, and I answered, and then he was like, "Cool, are you a lesbian?" I was
no,
like,
yeah, I remember that.
"Get the fuck out!"
Cat's like, no, I like.
Oh yeah, babe, I'm a lesbian. I'm gonna marry you in 2 weeks. I'm a huge lesbian. Like, no, but the thing is, it doesn't matter.
That's probably one of the funniest things about, I think, our show in general is that, well, of the three of us, Cat's the only straight one.
Wait.
Shameful.
Well, do you remember we said like I distinctly remember talking about that, and you were like, no, I like dicks though. That was the quote from a long time ago.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
did
straight.
say that. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be offensive, Cat. Jesus.
So offended that you told the world I'm straight and boring. Oh,
Yeah.
another straight white chick. Oh.
Yes. Another basic ass white. You are.
Yeah.
You're
Where's
definitely
your pumpkin
white.
spice latte, huh?
Yeah.
But you're by no means basic, and very unique.
Well, Facebook commenters would disagree with you, but
Yeah.
you know, that's besides
Well,
the point.
Yeah, they're that's Facebook for you. And
Yeah.
and since I've been running an ad for quite a while now, I know the actual demographics of who sees the ad. And
Yeah.
yes, it's
Straight white
mostly
men.
male. Yes. Well, I don't know
Does
about
it
just sex and
show
age.
you? Or it doesn't tell you the ages though, right?
It does. Not specifically, but
A range.
there's a
range?
range. Yeah.
So what's the range though? I'm not thinking it's gonna be like
Oh, hold on. You want me
18
to
and
open
under,
up
right?
the actual ads thing? Jesus
Also,
Christ.
No,
while you're
because I'm saying like the younger crowd, they're more tolerant and
I just want to make this very clear. I'm not offended that somebody asked I'm not offended that somebody thought I was lesbian. Let's put it that way. I don't give a shit. But on Twitch, when I'm playing a game, that's not what we're here for. It's none of
Right.
your business, you know?
I forgot.
So that's
I'm
why
in
I got
Facebook
mad.
Jail. So I got a warning that said
Oh, you're in
I'm
Facebook
restricted.
jail.
I'm restricted from running ads. But guess what, bitch? I'm not the one running the ad. My ad manager is. But let's see. Let's look at the few charts. Traffic. Where's the demographics at? People reached. Oh, demographics. Here we go. It looks like, oh, good Lord, 94% is men. 5% is women. And the average age is between 25 and 34.
I was gonna say that 25 to 34. That's the jackass years, dude. That's when dudes are fucking assholes.
It's kind of true. I mean, both
Like
Sal
early
and I are over the hill at
early
this point.
on, 18 to about 25, they're still kind of finding their dickhead mode, right? You know, they're
No, it's true. I was a
they're
dick
going
for
after girls, but they're
till
not
my
they're not
mid-20s, yeah.
assholes yet. When they hit
I was an
25,
asshole.
they start becoming fucking huge fucking dickheads.
And they're confident in their
and
assholery.
then around
Assholery.
35,
I like that
around
word.
35 it drops off because if they're not married or in a serious relationship by then, they're trying to find somebody by then, right?
That sounds
So-
like a bias.
They kind of mellow out.
Yeah. Oh God, that reminds me. It's not video game.
Well, then there's a bias in the algorithm of
Yeah.
the ad being shown, right? It is for a gaming podcast.
Is there though?
94% of your viewers are male in the ad. So Facebook or whoever is using an algorithm on who to show this ad to,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
So then it gets
Well,
progressively
no,
more and more
Actually,
male driven.
it's based off of what performs better, right? So it's based off of the fact that the ad is performing better with men, and then we further to clarify, we further laser target the audience once it says, okay, it's performing better with men. Now we target men more. because we want a better performance on the ad. That's well, not specifically target men more, but specifically target what Facebook says is performing better. And if you do look at the results, I think all of the comments, and I'm not saying that this is better performance, although the bias right there would be that Facebook thinks it's better performance because people are commenting on the ad, right? Are all men that are commenting on the ad. But yeah,
it doesn't take into account what kind of comments, if there were.
No, it doesn't take into account what kind of comments
or toxic.
I wonder if it takes in if someone comments and then clicks on the ad. You know what I mean?
Makes me sad. I want more girlfriends. Why don't girls want to watch my channel?
You found Subly.
I know.
You have me.
That's
I know. That's all I need.
No, it's
Aren't I enough?
And
yes,
okay,
you are.
so in this podcast, the bias, I really wanted to find more female guests or hosts. Guests, not as hard, but hosts, nearly impossible. It's been very, very hard to find anybody because I just don't know very many females that are that into gaming and are also good speakers, or at least willing to speak and learn and become that.
Right.
I mean, I'm not calling my wife out or anything, but she loves to game, but she is not a public speaker, and she is not. It's just not her. It's not her thing.
Yeah, we got
so,
lucky that life kind of intersected our paths. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's
the whole how you were raised, right? Like my my brothers raised their kids like, oh, you play with this kind of toy instead of this kind of toy.
Even Prem,
girls aren't allowed to play games.
Well,
I'm
not
nieces that don't play games, but all their brothers do.
I'm not saying this is on Prem, but I do remember recalling talking to him about making his kids play video games. I'm sorry, getting his kids to play video games. And it turns out his son is way more into video games than his daughter's not into video games. And he said that he tried. So I just wonder if there's other things at work there. But we won't get into that. But like you know what I mean? Like it could be in any case. I mean, it definitely is. You have parents teaching like what's like gender roles, like when Sal and Subly and everybody was saying, was like there are gender roles in video games. Like my wife didn't grow up with video games because she was supposed to play with dolls and stuff like that.
Yeah,
of course she rebelled and became a tomboy, and that's why she's awesome. But it's just one of those things. And my sister's not a gamer either. And we grew up in the same house, and I played video games with my dad all the time. So I don't really know personally what happened there and why that is the way it is, because I know we've tried to play games with her, but
I mean, it could just be her preference. Maybe she just legitimately didn't really
I don't
play.
That's not one of her things. It's just not what she wanted to do. But everybody's different. Like when I started getting my wife playing video games, then she was like basically like, like, I can't believe I'd never done this before, kind of thing. And like one of the things that was great about the Switch when we got that was it had all the retro games on it. She literally like played through all of like Mario and Zelda and all that stuff for the first time, and it was really cool to watch because I was like, I remember doing that. So nostalgic. But I'm trying to think of I remember. Go ahead, Kat. Sorry.
Sorry. Just what you were saying made me think about how like this group, all of us, we're gamers, so we're familiar with the culture. We're familiar with games for the most part, but that doesn't necessarily mean we play all of the games.
No, so we try, but I don't like all the games.
And it was interesting because for New Year's Eve this year, because COVID is a thing and we can't get together, we have a group of friends that they're not in the gamer space, but the guys tend to play like a game here and there. So with this group of friends, we decided to get on a Zoom call and like spend a couple hours before midnight just so we could be together, because we usually have the New Year's party with this group anyway. Like we hung out with them last year, so this year we did a Zoom call, and the women in the group don't game, but they were familiar with Jackbox, and so we played Jackbox and all this stuff. But as we were getting it set up, one of the girls asked me like, oh, hey, do you play like Mario Party, or like, do you know about it? And I'm just like, honestly, no, I don't. And they kind of like looked at me like, thought you were a gamer, like you stream and stuff. And and it's like, just because I'm a gamer doesn't mean that I play all of the games or I'm familiar with all the. That's impossible. There's no gamer out there.
Just because you're a podcast host on a video game podcast, first of all, that puts you, at least, especially in the unbiased, especially in the biased, unconscious bias side of things, it puts you even higher, because you're not just a chick that plays video games. You are a host on a video game podcast. So even more assumptions are going to be made that you know all the news, that you know all that.
Yeah, Cat, get good.
Fucking good, Cat.
And I told him, I'm like, that's not really the stuff I play. Like, that's not what I'm into.
You mean there's different kinds of video games?
Right. You know, as soon as I said, like, I'm into RPGs, they're like, I already don't know what you're talking about.
What's an RPG?
Like, that's fine. I like story games. I basically just told him that. I was like, I like story games where, you know, there's some fighting and all that good stuff. You know, if I said AAA game, they would also be like, what? So
just tell them, I play Madden.
I didn't know that AAA had video games. I thought they just did roadside assistance.
Yeah. And, you know, their husbands play Call of Duty. You know, it's like big shocker.
Oh, God.
There's a bias right there. Big shocker.
That's a huge bias amongst this show that I feel was originally unconscious, but now is very explicit, very conscious, is that all COD players, people that specifically only play COD, are a certain, they're basically bros. They're that type of person. Like, you know what I mean? And females included. So like male or females, there
is a stereotype to
use a very terrible and sexist stereotype. The names that I learned were bros and brohos, which is very sexist, but that's what I heard. But basically, they're all COD players are basically, you know, not very intelligent. That's the only game they play. They're only capable of playing FPSs, etc. When in reality, a lot of us not only play FPSs but also have played COD. However,
or they're toxic, you know.
That's they're toxic. Yeah, that's another bias too. But they kind of are. So
they measure their dick on how good they do in the game.
Or
I encountered a lot of those guys. Oh man, look at my KD and look at yours. 1v1 me, bro. It's like,
1v1 me, bro.
Or they're 8-year-olds or 12-year-olds,
you're winning at
or
life
whatever.
because you're fucking good at this game, dude. It's like you're fucking hilarious.
Fortnite's for 12-year-olds, apparently. You know, like
that's another bias
so much
too,
bias
right? Like,
in games.
ADHD right
Fortnite,
there. Dude.
I think Fortnite's a terrible game, and I don't think anybody should play it. And it's for children. But I'm not biased at all.
Like the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, wow, bias in gaming is literally everywhere.
Yeah, and one of the things that I remember specifically, anecdotally speaking, Subly and I were playing. I think it was, I don't know if it was the first time or maybe the second time that I Swift with you in Dead by Daylight, but we encountered the Huntress.
Oh yes.
So like literally, like what happened was the game, you know, I don't even think you did anything very bad to her. Did you stun her or anything, or flashlight? Did you do anything?
I probably pallet stunned her.
Yeah, so maybe you pallet stunned her, which if you can't handle one pallet stun, you shouldn't be killer. But she literally like face camped you so hard and was whacking you with her axe. And we just deemed her the Huntress because when we started, because I love Huntress. She's one of my favorite killers, although I admittedly haven't been playing her much lately. And I just was like, Huntress is bae, you know, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we were just like, damn, what is her problem? Like, this is the Huntress. But what if? And I've had this well, I've never BM'd that hard, but what if she was just having a bad day? I mean, like maybe she was. Well, I only say she, referring to the gender of the character in game. We don't know who the player actually.
You don't
was.
know the player, yeah.
But and speaking personally to that, I don't know if this might have something to do with the topic too. I like when I'm playing any games where it's an option, I always play female characters.
It's true, he does.
I prefer it. And one of the most interesting games where it actually like really seriously affects the story is Dragon Age Origins. I started as what one might feel is maybe the most downtrodden. What's the fucking common word? What's the new word for it? The most oppressed. There we go. The most oppressed character in the game. I not even realizing it. I played a female city elf. Is how I started, and it is brutal as shit when you first start the game because it's everything is specific and different to each character's race and sex, and city elves are looked down upon like dirt, and they're terrible. Like they live in the ghetto in the main city in that game. And like the first fucking part of the story or whatever, you get like arrested on fucking false charges, you and your friend, and then the guards come to rape you. And when that occurs, of course, someone slips you a sword under the door, and then you brutally murder their faces. There's no actual rape involved, but like there's implied that it was going to happen, and I was like, holy crap, like what is this game I'm playing? But all of it felt very real, and it made me very attached to the character. But it's interesting because there's a lot of bias in the game internally in the story for each individual race and sex.
Yeah, well, even in games, typically you don't get a choice of what character you're going to play, and it's typically a male character. And I know that whenever there is an option to play a female character, I typically do choose the female character, and I'm choosing it because it's like me, right? So I'm going to pick, going back to the basic, child learned behavior that what is like me is good.
Yeah.
I'm a female, so therefore I want to play a female character. I want somebody that represents me in the game.
Whereas for me, it's because I'm not a female and I don't get to be pretty, and I want to be pretty. Legitimately, I'm not even making a joke. I mean, it's funny. Sal's the only one that's cross-dressed, so I'm jealous. But like in games, that's like when you role play what you want to be or what you want to play. And that's what I want to be. I'll be and I accessorize like crazy. Like I want to see like the awesome outfits and stuff. I remember having a conversation to my wife about my Demon Hunter's boots and how amazing they were, because they looked like fucking Louboutins. They had the fucking red, on the bottom of the high heel. They're these fucking, they're metal with spikes and tall like knee-high like heel boots or whatever, like, and I was
yes, like, queen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, and again, that's also biased too. Like most I've heard, and because I've done research about this, because I do always say that I only usually not only, but I usually play female characters when I can. Like for now, like for example, now in Dead by Daylight, my main survivor is Bill right now, just because, mostly because perks and how awesome he is. But just is that most people will be like, "Oh, you're a guy, you play female characters because you want to stare at a female's ass or boobs all the entire time that you're playing," which is not the case. Well, I mean, it'd be cool if I had boobs, but I mean, like, that's different.
Right. Well, and a lot of the female characters too are the stereotypical, like, sexually attractive.
Yeah, which
women.
was another thing in another reason why I really liked Origins. people looked like, normal. They didn't have giant anime boobs or, or butts or anything weird like that.
Yeah, they fit the traits. Like the elves are a lot slimmer.
Yeah, and dwarves are short and stout. Like there's no typical
Yeah, there was no slider for making the bazongas like humongous.
yeah,
That's just
song
crazy,
slider.
dude.
Or was it Cyberpunk where you can make your penis huge?
Yes, or you can have no penis. You can even just castrate yourself.
Nice. Oh man. I mean Conan did it first. What's it called? Conan Exiles. Yeah. You could just walk around with you could have the sliders for either big boobs or big dong, which is all inclusive and 100% equal.
Yes.
I guess.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but it's just I guess as far as biases are concerned, if you're worried about it or concerned about it, which some of us are, um, first of all, that's like the first step. Oh, you actually care. you actually
Yes,
care.
becoming conscious of your biases and becoming conscious of the biases that are inherent in the games themselves, or even in the advertising of the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get that ball
It's-
rolling, once you start thinking about
It's
it,
been getting better.
it's
Like
easier to recognize
they've-
it.
most games nowadays offer a female and a male character, with exceptions to
Right, but
certain
that's
single
new.
player games. Yeah, that's pretty.
That's new within
pretty
the
neat.
last couple years.
And hopefully it gets better going forward. It shouldn't matter if you're a female or a male as long as the story is good, right?
Yeah, well, that's one thing I do want to point out about. I know the stories are different, so you could argue in Origins, in Dragon Age Origins, that they're unfair or something. To the storytelling was great, and the actual advantage or whatever you want to say in the gameplay, there wasn't an advantage for being either one really. It was just there was a different story to be told, and it was really good in making you aware of like actual societal problems and stereotypes and things like that, in my opinion, in my humble professional opinion.
Right. Well, and I've seen in games too that like they might point out that, hey, there is a stereotype against women, or even different races in the game, but they don't always point out that that's wrong either.
Yeah, I guess in this case it felt wrong to me, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's a moral compass thing or if it's what I grew up with, my personal it probably is my personal experience, because um maybe that would not have, and this is a horrible thing, but maybe that would not have felt wrong to somebody else playing that game. Like, oh yeah, of course, females get raped, that's what happens. But I mean, not to get too personal, I've I was molested as a kid, so I'm probably very biased in that, in any sort of, in
You're
anything.
hyper aware of that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
hyper
it's
aware
something you feel.
of things like that because I feel it. And it wasn't a trigger, or it didn't make me like hate the game or anything. It made me connect more, I guess, in that case. And again, I bring that up because of how it specifically has the biases in them, biases. But yeah, I mean,
Damn, Debbie Downer over here.
no,
No.
don't be I'm down, don't be down. But like it just proves the point that the biases exist in that something that you've learned or something that you've experienced, and someone that's experienced trauma is more likely to be hyper aware of that specific trauma or something similar, or someone that's experienced just or knows somebody that's experienced it, right? Because
Right. Yes.
because that person would have, especially if they were a role model or someone in their life, they would have taught them that. So but yeah, you know, it's video games. Video games are working towards being more inclusive and just and trying and if you go from the marketing side, trying to get everybody to play video games.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think they've a lot of the times they go way the fucking wrong way when they're trying to be inclusive,
oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
they overreach,
I
and
really
just because marketing says, hey, you know, you shoehorn this in or
that
shoehorn that
reminds me
in,
of
and it just ends up being kind of offensive, right? It's like, why are you guys doing this?
yeah. Well,
Instead of putting light on it, you're putting a huge fucking spotlight on
a
it.
perfect example of like trying to fight biases and or sexism in video games and completely fucking it up more would be Anita Sarkeesian's brand of feminism and her whole tropes series. I remember when I first watched it, I saw some of it and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then I started to get in there and was like, whoa, that's like now you're being extremely biased. And one of the things that that reminded me was like I really like that meme. It's pretty for I don't remember the name of the other person in particular, but it's the one where the lady's like, see, this is why I hate video games. They appeal to the male fantasy. And there's so many memes where it's like, you know, like just playing an RPG or just like, you know, shooting somebody or whatever, where it's like it's really but what happened in specifically in her work was she hyper focused on very small parts of video games and other games where you basically have the option to do anything you want and only focused on the worst possible thing you could do was a lot of what was in her stuff. And you know, it yeah, I feel like it ended up harming more than anything. And we had during the whole Gamergate fiasco, we had a whole full episode of that, and I went deep undercover on the twatter on the Twitter and tried to you know talk to these people that were all into Gamergate and stay neutral while doing it. And
Well,
it was weird.
I think Anita Sarkeesian contributed to the bias of
Yeah,
non-gamers
well,
thinking that gaming causes people to have violent tendencies
yeah,
and be antisocial. And when
or
that's
that
just
games make you sexist.
right, and that's just not true.
And another thing too was that with everything that was happening, I think she exploited people that felt a certain way. Like she came in to exploit the feminists or people that associated themselves with feminists that thought that way.
And that's
When
confirmation bias, isn't it?
and
Yes.
and
Well,
on
it's
top of
like
that, I feel like go ahead, Sal. Sorry.
she took like-minded thinking people and fleeced them for money is what she did. And
Yes, exactly. That's
it's
a
just
very
like any evangelical
good way to put
preacher
it.
does, or
Yeah.
what the orange Cheeto is doing to his followers, right?
Yeah.
He needs money for defense, quote unquote, which he just took the money and ran. These people prey on
Yeah.
like-minded people because you know everybody wants to be in their own little echo chamber talking to the same people, you know, agreeing with each other and being a
Yes.
community.
Yep.
And then there's always that one
Mhm.
little person that says, hey, I can make money off of this.
Yeah.
And they take it.
And she
And that's
did.
what she did. That's what she did. She took it. I personally don't think that she actually believes it as much as she says.
And
she
and
does.
I don't and she's not even really much of a gamer either. I think she made herself out
Yeah,
to be more of a gamer than she actually was.
considering how
And that
she
could be a bias on my part, but I think it's from the display and from the evidence that I had seen overall doing that.
considering how hard she went about, you know, women and
Or
them making themselves look nice and that being like a form
yeah.
of misogyny. But yeah, she does it herself and
Or
she admitted. Oh,
or
yeah.
just the fact that how it was laser focused on the worst possible things you could do in a video game.
Yeah, that's a clickbaiter. That's like who's the quartering guy?
Yeah,
I
it's
used
like
to follow him. I used to follow him when he was playing Magic the Gathering and stuff. And
yeah.
that's all he talked about was like playing Magic the Gathering. And then he he went after a cosplayer, and this whole spiral started happening where he was being attacked because he said something misogynistic, and he rightly so, he should have been attacked for it, but he just kept stacking on and stacking on just so he can get more clicks to his videos. And eventually he ended up getting banned from the Magic the Gathering scene, where he's no longer allowed to go to any tournaments because he was just being an asshole just to get clicks. And then
now
after
that's his
that,
whole channel.
now that's
Yeah.
his whole channel
Yep.
because he was getting those clicks. And a lot of the shit that he comments on is nothing that he's really interested in. He just wants the clicks and the money from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Donner over here.
But now that's you, Sal, not me this time.
Make it funny though.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, there's too many people that fuck it up, right? For it's the one person that fucks it up for everybody that's actually trying to get change done.
Yeah,
Right?
it's so exhausting.
They go to the
Yes.
they go to the extreme left or right, and they just
Your mohawk is
quiets
killing me.
it quiets the voices of the people that are actually trying to get something done, because
Yeah.
they're the ones that yell the loudest.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That's true.
And hopefully the younger crowd, as they're coming up, kind of being raised to be inclusive when it comes to gender.
Yeah, I just hope they don't get too well,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that are too sensitive, in my opinion. Like,
Yes.
there's just I think one of the
Easily offended by everything.
yeah, my wife works in HR, and one of the sayings that HR has is basically essentially that if any reasonable person would consider this harassment or whatever, like there's always any reasonable person, like if my face offends you, okay, well that's reasonable. My face is pretty offensive. But if
Stop.
I mean, like there's a reasonable there are people that are not reasonable and people that are reasonable, whatever that be. I guess it's that's subjective, but they try to make it objective, I guess. But
well, that's gonna come down to the parents, right? If your kid comes to you and said, "Hey, I experienced this form of harassment or whatever," like kids have to experience adversity, right, to grow and be able to deal with it when it does happen in the real world, not just within like being protected by your parents still.
They just
But
need
the parents
to
have
know
to be
it's
able
wrong.
to correct them and tell them, this is wrong and you're gonna deal with this shit. But here's how you get past it, right? To be a better person. And the way it is now, it's not gonna happen because the parents are the ones that are hypersensitive about harassment and all that other shit. They don't allow their kids to actually deal with it.
yeah, if you
Talk to
if you
the
shelter
school
too
and shit like
much,
that.
then you end up with someone and later in their life that doesn't know how to deal with things, and they potentially lash out, or they become these people that have these really really unreasonable biases.
And then that's how we ended up with cancel culture. Now you're no longer allowed to talk
Have
out
said anything.
and deal with something that's could be easily corrected, or just cancel that person.
Right.
we're
And a lot
talking-
of these things that are part of the cancel culture, right? Like the mistakes that people make, they are unconscious biases. It was just something that they, in the split second of the moment, decided that that was what they were going to say or what they were going to do or what they were going to choose. But they didn't know in the moment or didn't stop and take a second to think, hey, is this racist or sexist or homophobic or anything? It was just what their brain instinctively told them to do.
Yeah, some of them, and then other ones keep going with it and make it conscious.
Yeah, some of them are, yes. There are some that are definitely conscious. And you can tell that by the repeated behavior, right?
Yeah,
And
Right.
exactly.
how expressive they are with it.
Yeah, if I offended somebody with, or if somebody offends somebody with something they said or did, and realizes that they did that, maybe didn't even know that that was an offensive thing originally, and changes or attempts to change their behavior, that's one thing. But when someone, just continually does it because, and at that point they know that it offends people, or they know that it's offensive or whatever.
Right. They do it to be hateful.
Yeah, and there's a lot, oh man, there's a lot of those kinds of people in toxic groups and communities in gaming. Like, and it's worse. It's worse online than it is in real life, because people are more willing to say shit. But as soon as I
Right.
see hate speech or whatever, I immediately report people, because that's something people take seriously. It's something I take seriously. And not everybody takes that seriously, because it does, even if it was just,
Yeah, I think online people are more honest about
yeah,
their prejudices and stuff because of the anonymity they have.
yeah.
Whereas
Exactly.
if they
Yeah,
say
nothing
it
can
like
happen to you
live,
online.
could be like a,
So you
just
get
you want to hurt
swatted.
the other person's feeling. You say the
It's
most fucking
ridiculous.
fucked up shit when you're arguing with somebody, but online you tend to be more honest when it comes to the comments you make, not because you're pissed off or not, but that's because of what you believe.
Yeah. But I mean, I tried to, the thing that's hard, like, to go personal, is like, it's really hard for me to think about what my unconscious biases are. It's easier for someone to point them out to me rather than think of them myself, because I can only really express the ones that I've become conscious of, obviously.
Right.
I
And
wouldn't know.
that's the nature of the bias itself. It is
Mhm.
completely unconscious to you. You are unaware that you have this bias, for one, and two, that bias is wrong, or potentially offensive or hurtful or
Mhm.
hateful.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that somebody actually has to actively make you then aware of it, to turn it into a conscious bias that you can then work on.
Hmm. If you're willing to work on it.
Yes, if you're willing to work on it.
But yeah, I mean, it's video games have become so mainstream now that, like, I didn't think I'd, growing up, ever thought that I'd be talking about something like this on a radio show, for the lack of a better term. um you know since I was a kid playing video games, I just wanted to play video games, and they were awesome and they were fun. And my dad came home with a video game, like, every week, for the Sega Master System. Yes, that's how old I am. uh or the Nintendo NES. um and now, like, because when you're a kid like that, you don't even think about that stuff. Like,
Right.
that's not
And
something you
Right.
even, and kids are the most malleable, the most, teachable. Like, once you're as old as, like, me and Sal, we've pretty much got our stuff set in stone, and we might learn some new stuff here and there, but, like, um
and that's why we didn't talk about these things before, because we were just kids growing up with these games. We didn't know any better. We didn't
mhm,
we
Right.
didn't know that they could have made it so that it wasn't so sexist or racist. We didn't realize we were just playing a game and having fun.
mhm,
But
Right.
now, as we're older, we get to analyze these things and figure out, well, how can we improve. And I think game developers are taking really good steps into, like we talked about earlier, being more inclusive and trying to recognize bias. And I think the most we can do as people in general is to try and make our unconscious bias conscious. Try to
yeah,
think about it. Recognize that you do have unconscious bias, even if you don't
everybody
want
does. I
to.
think that's one of the things that people, probably, like, people in denial would say, like, they, well, no, I don't have any. Well, no, everybody does.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it in everybody has them. But, the more you work to make yourself aware of them, the better. But also, I think something earlier Sal said, when creating games and story and stuff like that, shoehorning things in can be detrimental to story. For
Right.
example, you create or write what you know, right? So when somebody comes and they say, well, you weren't inclusive enough, you didn't have this type of character, this type of character, this type of character, then you might end up with, some really flat characters that, are like, why is this person here? And it might hurt the story. So that's like the other side of things, I think, in the sense that you have
And
to.
then it also hurts the other way, right? If you're trying to be critical
Yeah,
about
and
something, and somebody throws that, oh, you're just being a misogynistic, sexist because you're a guy.
yeah,
Ghostbusters, for example, the movie was fucking horrible. The writing was shit. It wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't bad because the ladies were the ones that
No, and in
were
fact, what
doing
is
it.
it? God,
It
what's her name?
the ladies are
No, and those
dude.
were all
I
excellent
love
actresses. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
Kate McKinnon. She is
yeah, Kate
fucking the
McKinnon. She's one
most
of my favorite, and she's
weirdest
hilarious.
person I ever seen acting. And had they given them the original script from Ghostbusters, it would have been a good movie.
Yeah, yeah,
But the writing was shit. But I guess people aren't willing to admit that the writing was shit and it wasn't a good movie. So they say, well, you guys are misogynistic and it's because you're guys.
yeah.
And
Well, but to be clear,
hate
or
women.
to be safe, there are some people we know that are actually misogynistic, and
Yeah,
that's
but
they're just using
some-
those points to prove their point.
yeah, when somebody's being critical about something without them saying, "Oh, well, the women suck because
I was
they're
talking about
women," right?
Spike, by the
Then
way.
that's something misogynistic. But if they're giving you criticism that the story was weak and this character was weak and this and that, and then you say, "Well, you just because you're a misogynist, that's why you didn't like it." Same deal with I think Captain Marvel. Like a lot of people didn't like it because the story wasn't that great. But no, they were misogynistic because they didn't like it. And they
Yeah,
shut
it
down.
wasn't my favorite, but
They immediately shut down the conversation by doing
definitely
that.
seen worse.
Yeah, I think
I liked it.
Yeah,
think we
no,
need
I
to
liked, yeah, I liked most of it.
I think we need to normalize inclusivity. We need to not be inclusive for
Yeah,
the sake of being inclusive. We need it to be a normal thing
Right. And
because
it
it
shouldn't
should
be
be.
novel
Right.
or, this, incredible feat that you are now inclusive of
yeah, like
something.
just it
Yeah, like in games in general, should
natural.
if it's not in the story where the character is a male or a female, then they should have gender opportunities, right? You can choose whatever you want at that point. You can choose a
Dark
girl or a
Souls.
guy
Right.
or
Mhm.
whatever. But if it's
Could be
like
either or.
if it's like The Witcher, the Witcher's a male, or he's a mutant, but
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
a mutant, but
he
yeah,
got a dingaling.
he has a
And that
dingling.
then the story
He has
should
a
go
pickle.
along the lines of what was originally written, right? But if
Yeah.
it wasn't established from the beginning, you should have that option.
Yeah, yeah. I have no. There was. Oh, I reminded myself of Final Fantasy earlier, and I was saying, like there's. At first, I said there was no female main characters, which isn't technically true. There's Lightning.
Terra,
Um, huh?
Terra from Final Fantasy VI. I mean, Final Fantasy VI
Which was
is an amalgamation of main characters, but you start
yeah,
with Terra.
yeah, true. But like a main character is Lightning. Lightning is definitely a main character, and a lot of people did not like Final Fantasy 13.
Because it was just too linear and
Yeah,
convoluted as
it wasn't
shit,
that great.
confusing. I love
But
Lightning.
I guess what
but-
I'm saying is, like, I feel like almost all Final Fantasy, you're playing, the typical male white character, whatever, for the main character, and with no options. But yeah, and then they come on. I liked Final Fantasy 13 but I will admit it's definitely not the best game story wise or anything like that, and it very well could have been because they tried to tailor it a certain way that they weren't used to. But
yeah, I mean, I liked it at first because it was gorgeous and the music was lovely and the character design was badass. And I I think that I liked it the first run because I was trying to stay open-minded, and I was like, it's gonna make more sense when I get to the end. I'm gonna figure out what's going on. But I always didn't know the difference between Lassie and Falsey, and like I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
And then
why can't I do anything? It's just one path.
Yeah. And
until
then
like
Camille,
right at the end, and then it's like boom.
Vanille, sorry, Vanille.
Oh, she was annoying as fuck.
And Fang saved the world with lesbian sex.
Yeah, I hated Vanille so much.
I liked Fang a lot though. But
Yeah,
anyways,
she's cool.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to add to Subly or anybody else want to add to the discussion? You think?
I think we're on a good path.
I have a conscience bias that I hate chihuahuas.
Yeah, it's definitely conscious because you've expressed that multiple times, not just during this show, but in general in real life. But I think it's something that we'll definitely be a bit more aware of going forward on this show, and I hope that our listeners can be too. Like just stop and think about something. Why did you do that? Why did you avoid that person? Why did you avoid that thing?
COD people are irredeemable.
Yeah.
Let's just say it here, right here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Sal, but
also talk it out with your friends.
Still a bias, for sure.
Yes.
Like have discussions with your friends about it, because you end up learning a lot about yourself, and if you're kind of confused on how unconscious bias works, maybe talking to someone about it will help you. As I think, especially during these times, it's very important to be aware of these things and apply it to your daily life, not just gaming, not just meeting people. Like whatever you do in life, you need to realize that that is a thing, and you're not a bad person for having unconscious bias, but you need to recognize it. And you need to work towards making it conscious, and then having conversation with yourself, like, why do I feel this way? That's all we can do.
Point out to your friends too when you see them enact on an unconscious bias that is most likely negative. Point it out to them. And do it kindly and constructively. But that's how we learn and how we grow. Is if you don't know, you're just going to keep perpetuating it.
Here's another bias for me. I feel like COD players don't learn shit.
They don't listen.
They don't listen. They don't learn.
They're irredeemable.
They're irredeemable. What's it called? League of Legends too.
Oh gosh.
Which is because like that they just have the not even stereotypically speaking, they just factually have the most toxic communities.
There's stats to back it up.
They get to a point where they become elitists, and and they're pretty much they're not going to change at that point, because like if you're not at their level, then you're a shit person. And
like in DBD too, like the majority of people are pretty toxic. But I do get occasional, wholesome chat after a game. Like it's very occasional, but it happens, and you love to see it. But it's just it also has a lot to do with one of the things, and this is probably also a bias, but certain games, a lot of kids play certain games, and that's actually factual in cases with COD and Dead by Daylight, and they've only barely learned from their parents what things should be or shouldn't be, and so and they know less about what's right and wrong, coupled with the fact that everybody has, as Sal I believe originally put it, not on this show, but internet cojones. Everybody gets this the feeling of, I have anonymity, so I can say whatever the fuck I want. It's even worse when you're young and don't have maybe not learned any of the consequences in real life.
Yeah, I never understood
saying
that,
things like that,
because I used to play COD a lot, and like these really young kids fucking cursing and yelling and shit. Shit, my mom would fucking beat me black and blue if I said just
Well, that's your
anywhere
bias
near
too,
her.
right, Sal? They're probably, their parents are against that kind of stuff, and they never beat them black and blue for saying stupid shit. So
Yeah, but there's no boundary limit set for them like early on, where then they grow up and their dicks on the internet.
yeah,
Or parents just aren't aware that this is going on.
they could also very
Yeah.
much be, because like
They could be in the
face it,
room.
unless they're playing with their kid, and in which case, if they were, usually it's not the case. Like, it's usually not. They don't become toxic people online. But like, if because the parents, most of the parents, and again, this is probably also a bias. Most parents don't even know what's going on with their kids online, especially because like I've I read um there was this forum where people were talking about buying Dead by Daylight for their kid, and I mean like child, not like 13-year-old, 12-year-old, or younger. I think one of them said they bought it for their 8-year-old. Like, what? I was like,
8-year-old?
what are you?
Yeah.
I don't. And then they're like, I don't see any problem with it. It's not that bad. It's not that violent. I'm like, wait, but
But
you're literally
you're
killing
killing
people
people.
Yeah,
and sacrificing them to a dark god of all things that are
that
evil.
was it's pretty bad.
What?
When I was working.
How are you
at-
buying this for your kid? And one of them was like, I'm 40 something and I play it with my kid. And I was like, oh, maybe they're a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because when I was working at Target in the electronics department, the parents would be coming up with rated mature games
Yeah.
for their like 10-year-old, and I go, this is a mature game, right? There's going to be cursing and nudity and all this other stuff, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. How come you didn't tell me that? They were like, what the fuck?
What's the SRB,
There's a
bitch? Come
fucking
on.
description right there. Read it.
Yep.
Like, people like, oh,
Yeah, they make it willful ignorance, right? Is probably what it is. They just want their kid to shut up and leave them
yeah.
alone.
And a
so
lot
they
of
can
people
get on
don't
the game.
realize that if your kid is online, they can literally be exposed to anything, because unless you actually police what your kids are able to see, or use adult settings or something, they can literally, they could be talking to your 12-year-old could be talking to some 40-year-old in another part of the country,
Yeah,
and
Yep.
absolutely.
it could be innocent, like they're just playing a video game, or it could
Right.
not.
I remember
Yep.
when I was like 11, 12 years old, I was playing EverQuest. Obviously not with my dad because we only had one computer and one
Yeah.
account. So we
The
took
olden
turns.
days, I remember.
Yeah, we took turn, with dial up. So if mom needed to use the phone, I had to log out of EverQuest so she could use it. But
Oh, you guys were nice. I would yell at my parents for fucking picking up the phone. Well,
Sam would
they
try to stab people.
First of all, they were unaware. They would pick up the phone and cut my shit off, and I would die, and I would lose my shit as a spoiled little brat that I was.
But when we were sharing EverQuest and I was playing, I do remember my dad would consistently like check in on me and make sure that I was okay, look at see if anyone was talking to me. And sometimes people would talk to me, like, because in EverQuest you have to group up with people to get things done, and oftentimes I grouped up with people, and I remember being honest about who I was. I remember telling them, like, I'm like 12 years old. And they're like, cool, let's go do this thing and beat the monsters in the cave so we can get loot, whatever. And it was always fine. I was always safe. I never met anyone predatory.
Too. I feel like, and this is my personal experience, EverQuest had one of the wholesomest fucking communities that in any game that I've ever played.
Yes.
Everybody was super nice. I never met anybody creepy. And I played it since I was like, I think it was like 15 at the time. I remember making friends with somebody who I know she had to be an adult because she was like working for Earthlink or something. And I remember, having internal strife, let's just say. And I mentioned things like that. And they were like super helpful and just like, trying to make me feel better.
The early days of the internet.
Yeah, no, but I mean I experienced
Holy
I
crap.
experienced seriously fucking toxic people on like IRC. I used to be on Talk City all the time, and there I made a lot of friends, and but also there were people that were basically like the people on COD or the people on League of Legends, that were just super toxic, or even Dead by Daylight. Oh my god, have I gotten some terrible I got some stuff that I couldn't even read on my stream because I get banned. Like the people that are saying shit, I was like, whoa, you're getting reported for hate speech.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I've reported somebody for hate speech before too, but at the same time, especially when I'm streaming, like I just quickly exit out. I don't even chat anymore.
Yeah, but I very much enjoy the salt. So if there's
That's completely fair.
if there's
Yeah, it's
no
like, the tears. The tears.
yes, if there's no like
Yes.
like legitimate hate speech or slurs, but like when people say stupid shit like, I hope your mom, God, what was it? I hope your mom gets raped by ISIS or something like that. That was I think that was a Dead by Daylight one.
Wow.
Someone tell me.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite ones of all time was actually in Hearthstone. And God, it was a long time ago. But let's see, where did your saved stuff? I change everything and fucking this shit so often that I lose track of everything. I feel like an old person now. Jesus Christ.
I was gonna say.
You are an
Old
old
man.
person. You feel
Save
like an old
collection.
person.
Here we go. No, cancel. Where's? They seriously moved it. I don't know where they put it. Where the fuck did they put your saved stuff on Instagram? There it is.
Hell no, man.
But I had wrecked somebody's face, like seriously, in Hearthstone, and I love that the name of the person is Monster Pig, but I'll read it to you, because this is our show. We can say what the fuck we want. Monster Pig said, "Wow, I've never seen someone suck Blizzard's cock so hard to get a perfect draw like that. Did you choke on cum, shitbag? Question mark, question mark." I was like, Jesus Christ, that was
Good Lord, yeah.
that was one of the salted, like I wouldn't necessarily consider that hate speech. There's no slurs or
He just
anything
thought
to it.
he just
It's
just jammed every dirty word he could think
Yeah,
of
it
into
was-
like
it
one
was
sentence.
beautiful. It made me feel amazing. I was like,
That person was under the age of 20.
Well, thank you for that
Just by
magnificent
the
poem.
sentence- just
that
by
was
the
beautiful. That was a
sentence
haiku.
structure. I would have replied like,
Haiku
"No,
of
I'm a pro
salt.
at gargling."
Like yeah, that would have been a good reply. Unfortunately I could not reply to them because they immediately blocked me.
They blocked you.
So I couldn't
That's
even
the
say
way it
anything. So
works.
like there was one
I'm
of those
so scared. God.
very cowardly, and that's even better. Like if I say something simple and factual like on Facebook and someone blocks me or unfriends me for it, it feels good. But like I live on the, so that's why I like PvP so much. That's why I'm killer in Dead by Daylight. I don't know if that's a biased thing either too. Like I don't know. I don't personally know any killer mains. Everybody else I know is a survivor main. Granted, Devin plays more. Devin plays more killer than most people that I know. But yeah, like salt is good. Anyways, Sal's tired of hearing about Dead by Daylight. But I was not going to let Subly be on and not talk about Dead by Daylight, because no, it's not going to happen. But yeah, it's one of the taboo subjects on our show. Just like it used to be Dark Souls, and before that it was Diablo, I think. Because
Eve.
Eve was one of them. Eve Online. Because
EverQuest.
EverQuest, okay, fuck you, Kat. she's just like this one, that one. I thought there were only 3. I had unconscious bias that I only had 3, but no, I get obsessed with games and that's all I play. So I personally don't want to subject our listeners to me talking about the same game over and over again. That when it's not a podcast about that game. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if they like that or they don't like that, right? I mean,
Hint,
we don't
hint, tell us feedback.
yeah, give us some feedback. We only know Prem, and he's definitely biased. But anyways,
That's because Soviet Russia biases you.
oh boy, we're dragging the song a little too long. I think Sub's
Yeah,
gonna fall
it was-
asleep. I'm gonna pee myself.
Sorry, like 1 a.m. over there, dude.
Yeah, it's late, and I just want to thank you, Subly, for being on the show, and tell everybody that they can find you at Twitch at Sublyminality, and there'll be links in the descriptions of this show. She plays with Kat all the time. Kat plays with her.
Yay.
They're twins, and thank you again for being on, and I hope to see you, or I hope to have you on again in the future.
Yeah,
thank
thanks
you
for
for
bringing
having
a mature subject on. Normally we just
Yeah,
talk about
thanks.
On a
Lynn.
very immature fucking podcast.
I was kind of
Mm.
worried that you would reject the topic because I know your podcast is usually a little more lighthearted and
Potty
just
humor.
kind of relaxed.
She's being
Yeah,
really nice.
but-
It's dick and fart
You can
jokes.
say
We
it.
know.
We talk about pooping.
we know what it is. You come in just because you're a scientist. You like dick and fart jokes too, apparently, or you wouldn't be here. Well, that's a bias, I think. I don't know. It's true.
Now we're
honestly,
like, oh my
I
God,
think-
everything is a
Oh my
bias.
God.
I think well, no, God. Okay, so quick anecdote. I was a Toastmaster for a time, maybe about a year, one of my jobs. And one of the things that they do is they make you count all the ums when you're talking. So if you're like blah 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 or like is also like all the words that you
Yeah.
fill in, like things where you when you're talking you don't know what to say, like you have to count those, and
Right.
God, was that painful. And it feels the same way as the unconscious bias thing. It's very similar. It's like, oh shit, was that an unconscious bias? Oh shit, did I say God damn it, I just said it. See, like, that was but anyways,
That had no point whatsoever.
No.
Anyways.
I'm trying to talk.
You have to stop
Yes, I have to stop.
and think about what you say instead of
Yeah.
filling the void with the
Yes.
I work on that too, but I still
Exactly.
fail. Like is my biggest
Yeah. I do
sin.
like a lot too. It happens. But thank you again so much, Subly, for being
Yeah.
on.
Thank you for
Yes,
being
thank you so
And-
much.
I was gonna say the first time that I knew you were cool was when you called that huntress a cuntress. I was like, yep,
Did that
she
on
tells it like it
stream, too.
is.
I was
Yeah.
live.
It was on stream. It was live. Yeah. I mean, just tell it like it is. It's fine. It's true.
Yeah.
And that's what we do on this show, and that's what we represent. The truth. We don't ever want to. I mean, yes, we're biased. Absolutely. I mean, like we always
Everybody
make fun
is.
of Xbox players and COD players and what was the other one? Oh, Apple
Apple
users. Between me and Sal, I think more so because Eddie and Kat are both Apple users.
The shame of the podcast.
Yes. But I make a lot of assumptions about Apple users. And it's different for everybody, because I used to know a COO who was an Apple user, and he was, or not a COO, a CTO. And I respected that dude. He was a cool dude, and he was very into tech and stuff, but he used Apple, and I was like, why would you do that?
Anyway,
Anyway, Kat, I've already pissed myself. That's why I just keep going. It's fine. I don't have to fucking worry. Does anybody have anything else they want to say to our amazing listeners before we go?
Have a good night.
keep on gaming.
Oh,
Oh.
Kat brought that back.
Oh.
Subly, what
no.
about you?
Just thank you for having me, and thank you for listening, and thank you for being open to a harder personal topic.
Serious topic.
Yeah, we need to have
Yes.
those once in a while.
Yes.
It's good for you.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is. And we still bring our levity and everything. But good night, you motherfucking nerds. Until next time.
Thank you so much to all the nerds that listened. You can find us at strengthengaming.com or email us at info@strcast.com.